Hi, boys and girls. We're going to look at our next lesson for social studies for our geography unit. We have looked at the Northeast region, we have looked at the Midwest region, and the Southeast region. So now we are going to take a look at our fourth region, which is the Southwest region. So the Southwest region, if you look at the compass, remember we have northeast, southwest. Southwest is right here between the south and the west. So it's on this side of the United States. And it below the Southwest region is the country of Mexico, which is also part of the North America continent. All right, so the Southwest region is the area that is colored green in this map. So these are the states that are part of the Southwest region. We have Oklahoma, and we have the big state of Texas, New Mexico, and then we also have Arizona. So strap on your hiking boots because our train tour is taking us to 3 national parks in the Southwest on our journey today. The United States is home to 419 national parks. Each national park helps protect the beautiful and unique landforms so that the people in our country can visit and see their spectacular beauty for themselves. Without the parks, over time, the landforms could be developed with homes, hotels, and businesses. Instead, visitors can tour the parks to see the natural, unspoiled beauty. So if you look at all of the spots with the trees, these are all of our national parks in the United States. So remember, we have 419. So that's a lot of national parks. If you look right here, we have some in our state. So our first stop is the Grand Canyon National Park. The Grand Canyon National Park began protecting this natural wonder in 1919. It is 277 miles long, so it's over 1 mile deep and 18 miles across in some places. You look how big that is. The Grand Canyon was carved over time by the Colorado River. People who visit the Grand Canyon National Park like to go hiking, rafting, and camping. So we are going to click some of the pictures to get a better view.
Grand Canyon is more than just a view, more than just a two-dimensional landscape. There are so many lessons and ways to explore Grand Canyon. It is a laboratory. It is a virtual classroom. The diversity here is unparalleled. There's a huge landscape that is just begging to be explored. And it really just takes a moment to stop in a side canyon or sit under the trees and really get to know all the things that this landscape has to offer. It really does start to put things in perspective, I think, for a lot of people. You suddenly feel quite small, and your problems seem quite small as you're standing here on the edge of the canyon, because there's just so much to try to take in. In Grand Canyon, you'll find a whole host of environments, everything from cool fir forests to hot, dry deserts riparian zones, and over 1 million acres of wild landscape that have been the stage for human exploration and inspiration for generations. Most of Grand Canyon's visitors first arrive on the South Rim. Very few of those folks actually find their way over to the North Rim, and even fewer descend into the canyon itself. Statistics tell us that only about 5% of our visitors actually will drop down below the rim. These folks arrive at the canyon and they find their way to the first viewpoint. They look down into this two-dimensional landscape and feel that they have experienced Grand Canyon. But what they're missing out on is the opportunity to really explore the inner canyon and experience the diversity that this place has to offer. This park has a broad elevational change. So as you descend into the canyon, for every 1,000 feet, you actually gain 3 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So at the river's edge, the temperature can be 15 to 25 degrees warmer than on the South Rim. You leave behind the forests, which are more typical of the rim environments, and you enter into a landscape filled with blackbrush and cacti, plants that are more typical of and adapted to a desert environment. Traveling further into the inner canyon, you arrive at the Colorado River, and along its edge, you will find a very critical riparian habitat that extends the length of the river itself. We have seeps and springs nestled in side canyons that have a variety of species that are dependent on them. The diversity in the springs alone is unparalleled to any other location in the park. Almost 94% of the park is proposed wilderness. As such, it is managed and protected as though it is wilderness. In Grand Canyon's wilderness, you won't find cars. It's a roadless area where natural quiet is protected. There are places where you can descend below the canyon, where the air is still, where you have only yourself and the rocks around you and the plants, and suddenly your senses become tuned to the lizards scurrying in the rocks, or the sounds of the canyon wren, or the dripping of the springs. Those are the experiences that are wild. Evidence of human life in Grand Canyon extends back thousands of years. Some of our first explorers arrived on the rim, peered down into the canyon as so many people do today, but they saw it as an impassable chasm. They saw it as lifeless, undesirable, a place that no one would ever visit intentionally. These expeditions open up the opportunity for artists and photographers to capture the imagery of Grand Canyon and share it with the nation and ultimately the world, which really helped to bring about our appreciation for the scenic value of this landscape. Most importantly, what the Grand Canyon has to teach all of us is to slow down, to take it all in. to get to know what is beyond the reaches of the road and look deep within the canyon itself and find that sense of discovery in yourself and that sense of wildness in this place. It's the canyon itself that brings together the human history and the science. It's not just a canyon, it's the grandest canyon. There are deeper, there are wider, there are longer canyons, but none of them are the Grand Canyon.
Okay, now that we got to see the beautiful Grand Canyon, let's look at our next. Look at the. So here are some more pictures of the Grand Canyon. Some visitors even take a donkey ride into the canyon or a helicopter ride over the canyon. So these are some different ways that visitors get to see the Grand Canyon. All right, now we're going to take our second stop to Carlsbad Caverns National Park. So this one is underground in New Mexico, and it protects some of the largest caves in North America. So Carlsbad Cavern National Park is home to 113 caves. So we are going to click the picture to learn more.
When school isn't a place you have to be, why not go to school where remote learning can be as remote as you want, like a Vrbo?
Carlsbad Caverns National Park. The state of New Mexico is fittingly described as the land of enchantment. And the home of Carlsbad Caverns National Park. High in southeastern New Mexico, within the Guadalupe Mountains, are 46,000 acres of wilderness. Here, on an arid plateau, water, seeping and trickling drop by drop, has over eons created lavish formations in limestone caves. Caves formed by sulfuric acid dissolving the rock deep underground. A cave of strange, often bizarre beauty. Carlsbad Caverns. Around the end of the 19th century, the cave was still unknown to white settlers. Then one day, a lone 16-year-old cowboy, Jim White by name, saw a huge mass of bats rising from the desert hills. He assumed rightly they'd come from a cave. Any hole in the ground which could house such a gigantic army of bats, he commented later, must be a whale of a big cave. Jim went to see for himself. Lowering himself on a homemade ladder, he began exploring. And he kept on exploring for years to come. When he told the local folk what he discovered, they refused to believe him. In time, curious visitors started coming. Jim lowered those first tourists down into the cave in a big guano bucket. Today, modern elevator accommodates visitors, taking them 750 feet down to the cave floor. This is what Jim White named the Big Room, a limestone chamber of extraordinary proportions. It could hold 6 football fields. Fantasy shapes and forms emerge from darkness. Stalagmites rising from the floor like petrified fingers. Stalactites from the shadowy ceiling, 250 feet up, biting down like gigantic dragon's teeth. These have been created by eons of slowly dripping water. Each drop laced with calcium carbonate. It can take thousands of years to add just 1 inch. Jim White gave many of the cavern's features the names we call them by today. Temple of the Sun, Painted Grotto, Chinese Theater, Rock of Ages. It is with a sense of awe that visitors explore the chambers today. As Jim discovered, parts of the cave are dense with bats. Each summer evening, several 100,000 of them take flight through the cave's mouth and forage for food, eating their weight in insects every night. The park has 3 good hiking trails, affording the visitor ample opportunity to sightsee the surrounding desert. Today, the work initiated by Jim White and his homemade ladder is being carried out by geologists who are slowly penetrating the ever-increasing depths of this remarkable cave. Beyond what has been explored, one can imagine what vast caverns of unknown character, of magic, and mystery lie beyond.
Get your engagement ring at JamesAllen.com, because when she looks at that ring, she's gonna see you. Hey, baby, I love you.
Okay, now for our third stop. The Saguaro National Park is in the Sonoran Desert in Arizona. It protects a unique forest, which is home to the largest species of cacti in the world, the saguaro cactus. You see, those are the pictures of the saguaro cactus. The saguaro cactus lives for 200 years and grows to be 50 feet tall. So let's take a look at some of these cacti. All right, so the landmarks that we have learned about from the Southwest region are the Grand Canyon National Park, which is over here where the yellow star is, the Saguaro National Park, which is down here where the blue star is, and the Carlsbad Cavern National Park, which is over here at the pink star. All right, so tomorrow we're going to learn about our last region called the West. Today, you guys are going to complete your assignment by reading the passage about the Southwest and answering the questions.